Pokémon Horizons just did the impossible, and I do not say that lightly. Episode 129 just delivered a moment so indescribably legendary and climactic that it had the entire internet stunned. After 30 years of the anime, they finally crossed a line none of us ever thought they would, with the protagonist making their dream come true in the biggest way imaginable. We have to talk about it, so let's review the episode in this video. Just a fair warning though, I just this minute finished streaming my reaction to the Pokemon Day Presents, and that involved a lot of shouting and screaming. As a result, my voice has kind of gone a little bit, so if I sound dodgy in this video then forgive me. Can you blame me? Look at these starter Pokemon, dude. Let me know which one you're choosing below. I'm really split between Gecqua and Browt, I love them both so much. So let's dive into it. In the episode, our heroes arrived at the Dragon's Den, and somehow the writers want me to believe Roy just held onto Kilowattrel's feet for the whole flight from Paldea to Johto. That's the equivalent of Spain to Japan, dude. His upper body strength must be unfathomable, and Kilowattrel's poor ankles. Do birds have ankles? I don't know. Anyway, they arrive, reuniting with Team Dragon Rampage. If you recall, they've been looking after the Black Rayquaza while it's recovering, but they can't believe that Ult has his own Dragonite in a Dusk Ball, because it turns out there's a famous legendary Dragon Clan trainer known as Salt, and he was partnered with a Dragonite in a Dusk Ball a long time ago. He was famous for excavating and exploring caves all over the world with his Dragonite. Ult's Dragonite is overjoyed at hearing them mentioned in Salt, because it's revealed that Salt is Ult's dad, the one who gave Dragonite to Ult. So obviously, Ult is shocked and so are the others. It seems Liko isn't the only one with a famous ancestor. And by the way, Salt and Ult is so funny for a father and son to be called. I love that. I honestly really love this backstory for Ult's dad. The whole cave digging thing may seem random at first, but then when you realise that dragons literally live in caves, and Dragonite was caught in a Dusk Ball, which are more effective in caves, then it makes a lot of sense and it feels good. I'm really excited to see where all this leads. My personal prediction, what I would love to see happening, maybe at the end of Horizons, Ult and his father and Dragonite could dig a tunnel through Mount Kamuri. They could build a passageway for Pokemon to enter or exit the Lakwa Paradise freely. That would be such a beautiful idea, opening it up to so many more wild Pokemon, and it would make Ult and his father feel even more important. Anyway, our heroes enter the Dragon's Den, reuniting with the Black Rayquaza, and then Roy opens the briefcase Fried gave him, revealing that it is the meteorite from the games in there. So just like we all theorized, dude, this is almost certainly gonna lead to Rayquaza being rejuvenated and eventually Mega Evolving in the final showdown. I can't wait! The big guy eats it up and feels fantastic, so our heroes ask for Rayquaza's strength in eliminating the Luckwium. Pogogo then uses its power to terrestrialize Rayquaza, and now the time has finally come. Roy and Ult will both challenge Rayquaza to see who's worthy of being its true partner. Liko stands around watching, which I know a lot of people criticised, like why wasn't she involved in the battle, but to me it made a lot of sense, I don't know. After all, Liko knows that catching Rayquaza has been Roy and Ult's dreams all along. This is their moment to see who can make their dream come true. This is about everything they've been building up towards. I'm sure Liko just wants them to have their moment here, you know? And it's not like it's a battle of life or death where everyone is needed, it's just a test from Rayquaza to see whether Ult or Roy are worthy. So Liko stepping back says a lot about her character. It's really sweet. So the big showdown begins. Immediately, Dragonite's Dragon Rush is countered by Rayquaza's Dragon Tail, which switches Dragonite out for Sableye, and then Kilowattrel's Electro Ball and Sableye's Power Gem are just roared out of existence by Rayquaza. But in the absence of Crocalor, Kilowattrel finds a new passenger for his taxi services, and they fly around dodging Rayquaza's Dragon Pulse. Sableye then pretends to fall off of Kilowattrel in the sky, but it was a total trick. He surprises Rayquaza with Confuse Ray. That was genius from Sableye, and so fitting for the little ghost gremlin to fight in such a cheeky, sneaky way too. Rayquaza becomes confused, and that allows Kilowattrel to fully charge a Supercell Slam, smashing into Rayquaza so hard that he flies backwards, and then is forced to actually start locking in. Let's go Kilowattrel, landing the first big hit. That's my goat. But then like I said, Rayquaza actually begins locking in, and he quickly uses Draco Meteor, raining down destruction and knocking both of them out. Now of course, you guys know Kilowattrel is my favourite character in Horizons, and Sableye in general is in my top 10 favourite Pokemon, so yeah, it did hurt to see them go down already, but I can't even be mad. They popped off so hard, dude. Their teamwork was impeccable, and they damaged Rayquaza greatly. Lucario and Dragonite are next, with Roy and Ult Mega Evolving them, and Dragonite begins distracting Rayquaza while Lucario sneakily climbs up his tail. Lucario combines its aura with close combat, hitting Rayquaza really hard in the face. Legendary play from from the Yellow Blast. And then Dragonite swoops in to rescue Lucario from a Dragon Pulse. Dude, I love their teamwork so much. It's reminded me a lot of Freed and Demetheo vs Rayquaza earlier in the series. Charizard and Ceruledge battled Rayquaza in a very similar way. So the two of them then use Hyper Beam and Flash Cannon, landing a direct hard hit, but Rayquaza's Draco Meteor forces them to take a defensive stance. Lucario is batting off the incoming attacks, and then Dragonite uses Twister to absorb the Draco Meteors, blasting Rayquaza with all of that power directly. That was genius from Ult, dude. He's impressing me a lot in this battle. Anyway, the only way is up for Rayquaza, who vanishes into the sky. Lucario tries to use its aura to track it, but Rayquaza suddenly strikes way too fast with Dragon Ascent before finishing the job with Dragon Pulse. Roy is shocked and Lucario is down, and Dragonite barely holds on while Roy sends out Skeledirge. RIP Lucario, you did a great job, buddy. Skeledirge's disarming voice is immediately nullified by Rayquaza's roar, and then as Rayquaza uses Draco Meteor, Skeledirge begins charging up a Torch Song. Rayquaza gets hit hard, but Dragonite dives in the way of a falling boulder, saving Skeledirge but knocking itself out. Dude, there's something really funny about Dragonite being beaten by a rock instead of by Rayquaza, but this was so genuinely refreshing to see from Ult. Ult sacrificed his own Pokemon, and so ultimately sacrificed his own dream too to catch Rayquaza, just to give Roy the chance to win this. That's so respectable. That is not something Ult would have done when we first met him, but this is who he's become. Roy is so appreciative before terrestrializing Skeledirge. The final showdown is here. Skeledirge versus Rayquaza. Skeledirge begins tanking Dragon Tails, and then Roy has the genius strategy to reflect Disarming Voice from a crater. That results in the power being echoed and amplified and hitting Rayquaza really hard. The big guy then launches up into the sky for a Dragon Ascent again, and Roy and Skeledirge know this is the moment they've trained all these years for. This is the final clash. Rayquaza comes crashing down towards them, and Skeledirge uses the biggest Torch Song of his life to slow Rayquaza down. Then Skeledirge uses Stomp and Tantrum to plant his feet firmly and fully in the ground, stabilizing himself. He stands up on his back legs, and there is no way they're about to try what I think they're about to try. Oh my god, they are! Rayquaza smashes into Skeledirge full force with Dragon Ascent, but Skeledirge holds his ground. He catches Rayquaza. He withstands the hit and holds him in place. Then directly face to face, Roy screams out as Skeledirge unleashes his biggest flamethrower ever! Rayquaza is absolutely engulfed in flames. And then as the smoke clears, Rayquaza falls to the ground unconscious! Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh. Roy did it, dude! Roy actually did it! Bro! Roy and Skeledirge defeated the Black Rayquaza! After all this time! After all their training and development for nearly 130 episodes, everything was building up to this moment. I have no words right now. I love how Roy had to use all of his Pokemon. I love how Skeledirge had to use all 4 of his moves in such unique and interesting ways. This result felt so earned. And of course we can't forget how Ult helped it happen too. The teamwork and strategies between Roy and Ult was so awesome. It justified their win in my opinion. Plus, you've got to remember Rayquaza has been resting in a cave for over a year. It hasn't battled once in that entire time. So if you have an issue with the power scaling of Rayquaza losing here, then you can always write it off as Rayquaza just being rusty after not battling or training for a year and a half. That's super valid, but for me, I don't want to. So our boy reaches for a Pokeball, and oh my gosh, it's actually happening again. Everyone stay calm. It's happening. It's happening! Maybe I should stay calm. Dude, this was the moment that broke the internet. You see, Pokemon anime fans have been conditioned and trained for decades to expect the rug to always be pulled from under us, because the anime never lets protagonists achieve their dreams. But Horizons proves once again that it simply does not care to hold itself back, because they actually do it. Rayquaza nods, finally recognizing and approving Roy as his partner, and Roy, utterly overjoyed, throws a Pokeball, successfully catching the shiny Rayquaza and making his dream come true. Dude! Yo! I actually had tears in my eyes at this point. For the first time, a main character in the Pokemon anime has achieved their dream. Thinking back to where we started, that young kid living on the island, dreaming of adventure and dreaming of catching the legendary Black Rayquaza, to now seeing teenage Roy doing the impossible and actually making his dream come true. Dude, I actually can't believe it. It's so legendary, such a huge moment. Roy broke the curse, the first main character to achieve their dream. This is everything. And for him to achieve it on Pokemon's 30th anniversary on Pokemon Day, so perfect. Everyone is absolutely shocked and Roy thanks them all, telling them there's no way he would have achieved this without all of their help along the journey. And what's really heartbreaking is Ult starts crying, because this means his dream couldn't come true. This felt like such a touching human moment for Ult, you know? I really felt for the boy. He sacrificed his own dream to help Roy achieve his dream. But Ult very quickly gets it together and wipes his tears away, and he faces Roy and says that Rayquaza suits him and that he's happy for him. Their friendship is everything, man. I'm so proud of him for reaching this point. Pogogo then updates Rayquaza on everything he's missed, he gets his own little personal recap episode, and then Rayquaza bids them farewell and flies away? Huh? Ult is as shocked as I am, but Roy understands. Rayquaza's going to reunite with and gather the 6 heroes for the final showdown in Laqua. Okay, so this moment caused a lot of debate in the community. It angered a lot of people. Like, how are you going to go straight from the high of Roy making his dream come true and catching Rayquaza, to it then immediately flying off and not even being on Roy's team? I understand both perspectives here. I do fully agree that it's a real shame that after all of this build-up, we don't even get an episode or two to bask in the glory of Roy having a shiny Rayquaza on his team. It would have been so cool seeing him flying around on it and bonding with it, and seeing everyone's reactions to Roy rocking up with the Black Rayquaza. So Rayquaza leaving immediately does kinda suck, but then from the perspective of the story and the animators, I get why they'd make Rayquaza leave. The main character having a Rayquaza with them permanently, that would be a nightmare to animate and a nightmare to balance in the writing of the episodes. So I imagine Roy will reunite with Rayquaza in Laqua later on, and then once they've defeated Spinel, then Rayquaza will probably join Roy's team properly, and then we can enjoy the hype of that. So our heroes bid farewell to Team Dragon Rampage and they head off, and Ult announces that now his own legend truly begins. He wants his own story to be so loud that even his father, wherever he is, hears of him. And this has me really excited to see what the writers plan to do with Ult now, because now he's on his own path entirely. He's no longer chasing Roy's goal, he's no longer in his father's shadow, this is his own story. And I just know it's gonna be peak, man. My gosh, what an episode. I have no words for just how incredible this was from beginning to end. For me, this was a rare 10 out of 10 episode in every way. I adored everything about it. What I really love especially is that even though it was clearly a Roy episode, they found really effective ways to make it about Ult just as much. From his dad reveal, to him sacrificing his dream for Roy, to him beginning his own legend at the end. I had a smile on my face for Ult the whole episode, and obviously the Roy stuff was just wild, dude. I can't believe he caught Rayquaza, man. The first ever main character in Pokemon anime history to achieve their dream. I had tears in my eyes so much. And looking at him, I genuinely believe when Rayquaza joins Roy's team properly in the future, Roy could genuinely be a top 10 strongest Pokemon trainer in the entire anime. I think he's nearing the territory where he'd even give Ash a good battle. Like, this team is utterly bonkers, man. Whatever 2 Pokemon he chooses to complete it have a lot to live up to. I know some people have an issue with Rayquaza being defeated by Roy, but like I said, Roy has come so far. You've got to remember he's been on this journey training hard for probably nearly 2 years canonically now, including the time before and after and during the time skip. That's over double the length of Ash's entire journey, as ridiculous as it sounds. Blame the floating timeline and the writers being unwilling to let Ash age. So if Ash can go from this to this in less than 1 year, then Roy going from this to catching Rayquaza shouldn't be that unbelievable in a nearly 2-year time span. I love how none of Roy or Ult's Pokemon were done dirty, they all played big parts and got big hits in, and I love their strategies and how they bonded in this episode more than ever. Overall, this was just everything I ever dreamed of, and I really hope you guys feel similar. Roy did the impossible by catching a shiny Rayquaza, and that happening alongside all the Pokemon Day announcements. What a huge day for the Pokemon community. Fair to say the internet exploded. So be sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed my review video. Let me know what you guys thought of this episode below, and once again let me know what you thought about winds and waves and what starter Pokemon you're choosing. I know earlier in the video I said I'm stuck between Gecqua and Browt, but I'm gonna be honest, right now Browt is my boy. I've been thinking about him a lot while recording this video. I also want to say thank you so much. I can't say this seriously, man. So in my stream reaction for the Pokemon Presents, this absolute legend, Poke-san, he gifted nearly 300 channel memberships. The most amount of channel members we've ever had are like 20, and now we have 310, bruh. I don't even know what to do with this. That's so many people! I don't know how to fit them on the screen, but hopefully I found a way to fit them on the screen. Maybe they're scrolling like the Star Wars opening credits or something. I have no idea, but thank you all on the screen right now. You guys are legends. And an absolutely massive thank you to Poke-san. You are a legend, a goat in this community, okay? So thank you, Poke-san, for allowing all of these people to be channel members. And of course, the usual goats too. Jay, Jascadia, Toten, Fizz, Not Mini, Shareborn, Hope, Finny, Shiny. So yeah, on that note, thank you all so much for watching, and best wishes until we meet again!